me for a minute.
I had a conference.
Oh, is that all you can see? Well, that is the one I put up there. But I don't understand why we can't see you unless somehow you got to be activated on your camera. I'm gonna get Valerie to call you, okay? All right. Bye. Did you hear that, Valerie?
That was the most difficult person
Greg, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I got it. Except that my wife's name's up there, so well.
Can everybody hear? Judy, can you hear?
I can.
All right, Mr. Evans, can you hear?
I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've got Priscilla can see, but she's got to activate her camera, I think, and Valerie's talking to her right now. And Stuart was trying another device. So he should be in a second.
Well, it's about 5:30, but we'll hold off before we get started till we have everybody here.
I'm not up there, but I don't know why.
Lose everybody. Yes, you did.
Can you see me?
I don't see Judy. I mean, Eva. I hear Eva.
I hit the camera thing, but it's not doing anything. Turn on camera, and I've got it turned on, but nothing's happening. Judy, come here again. I need you. I'm gonna get my child to help here.
That's what the children are good for.
She's smarter than I am. Okay, my picture went off. How do I get it back on there? But see, it's not on. Wait a minute.
Well, if everybody can see like the agenda and what's going on, and everybody, we got the audio. Can everybody see the screen?
Stuart's not in yet, I don't think. No.
Even Priscilla, can you see this screen?
No, not now. Wait a minute. Get the screen back up. I'm on computer. You're doing better. Screen. Camera share.
See, we'll try.
got about 5 to the 4.
Give it a second.
I got about 5.
Oh, yeah, they're trying to make sure everybody on there right now.
I ain't heard from Nola.
He on there. You can't see it because they got this minutes on the screen, so they on there. I heard no.
I'm here, Miss JP.
Okay.
I see Stuart now. Do y'all see Stuart?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
I can hear y'all.
All right. Still we have Eva and Priscilla we've got issues with.
Just wait one more time.
Yeah, my camera's not coming up.
Okay. But are you able to see a screen, anything on screen?
No, but I can pull it up on my phone. Not right this minute.
Well, it's so small, I don't know if you can see it on your phone. That's going to be a trick. I don't know. I didn't know you could get font that small.
You got to know how to, I do know how to make it bigger on my phone. I can
Make it
see
a
it
lot.
on my phone.
Okay.
You know? And then
Yeah.
Can Stuart is we can hear him? Can he hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I think we've got everybody that can hear, at least.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
All right. We're basically where we were. The only board members that are on video right now are Greg, myself, and Ms. Pettigrew.
There, if you'll scroll down, they're there. I see Greg, Nolan, Chris, Judy, Miss Napier, Jackson, Alicia, myself, and Valerie is who I see.
Right.
And I got a message saying that my camera's not working, no longer working.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we'll just continue on this because there's only 3 of us that have video. We're all here, and we'll just have to handle
Nolan,
it.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Y'all have to forgive me. I've got bifocals. I have to tilt my head back to see the screen. So, well, there. That's better. All right. Call the meeting to order. We're a little bit late. A little bit of a technical difficulty here. Got a pretty long meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody with us. We do have an agenda, an electronic. We do have a quorum, an electronic quorum, but everybody's present. And let's see, we got a few. That's Miss Dr. Mercer and Chris and Miss Napier, and then our 2 assistant superintendents, and of course Dr. Hickman. First thing we're going to do is open the meeting. And Stuart, you and I discussed that earlier. if you could open it for us, we appreciate it.
Okay. Y'all bow with me. Father, we first thank you that you're a God of miracles, Lord. We continue to pray for the McLuhan family as they recover. We continue to pray for all healthcare workers and everyone affected by the COVID-19 virus. Just help us, Lord, make wise decisions as we've got to make some tough decisions moving forward. But be with us, and we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Good job. I guess we should stand, so if you're going to leave us in the place there, and if available, if able, that's the word I was looking for. All right,
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the
to
flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty
with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, we know now that we can't all talk at one time. Prove that point pretty square. All right, next thing we have approval of the agenda. Dr. Hickman, got anything to add? Will we need an executive session?
We will need an executive session.
And the purpose of that will be for personnel and,
Personnel and litigation.
okay.
I make a motion we go into the executive session.
Okay.
That's on in the agenda.
We're on the
Agenda.
okay.
On the agenda. So, Ms. Bilderback, you making a motion, we approve the agenda as it's presented.
Yes.
I second.
Mr. Evans, second.
Mhm.
Before we vote, I did have a little webinar, and for something like this, we don't have to have individual votes. All I have to do is all in favor say aye. All in favor of the motion of the approval of the agenda say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. All right, now we can see everybody that's here. All right. Next thing, we have approval of the minutes for April 14th and April 21st. A motion that we approve, or any discussion, any correction?
I move we approve those minutes.
That's Eva, is that you?
That's Judy.
Judy. Oh, okay. I can see you there. Okay. Motion by Judy that we approve minutes, those two meetings. Here, a second.
I'll second.
That was you, Stuart?
I think I was one of them.
Okay. Yeah, whoever speaks first, I guess, is good. All right. So we have a motion, second approval of minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Go that way. And there being none, that motion also passes unanimously. Next on the agenda, attaining high student achievement and success and instructional delivery options for FY21.
All right, I'm going to go over this to make sure that you guys can see the document. Let me make sure I can find it. Can everybody see? Everybody see this right here?
Dr. Hickman.
Yes.
This is for Saul. I got a sign that says poor network connection and everything went blank. I can't hear anybody. So I just called in so I could be part of the meeting.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Does everybody
I'm
that
part
has
of the country, I guess.
does everybody see the it talks about a plan for instructional delivery on your screen?
I have a copy in the hand, but no, it's the multiple screen picture shot is what we're seeing there, Valerie.
The instructional options for FY21.
Yes. Let me see if I can, I thought I had it ready to go there. Here we go.
I'm just looking at my other computer if you see me look away, so I'm pulled it up on our email.
Hold on, guys. Something has gone fishy over here with mine. You
That's
see
it.
it now?
Not
Yes.
quite the full screen, but look like you get it.
All right. So as
There you
we've
go.
been kind of talking about next fall
Barry,
and
come on.
what instruction will look like, we're trying to get some things lined up. And I'm just going to go through this so that I know you had time to read through it. And I just want to make sure everybody understands. Our plan is to start school on the normal date, which is Monday, August 3rd. And knowing the situation that we're in, we realize that that date probably needs to be flexible, but we have to have an aiming target right now for school. So we're aiming at that date to start. And right now, as far as calendars go, if something, a governor's order or something like that comes along later, then we'll just adjust and be flexible and work with the calendar as we need to and make adjustments based on the information we have. But right now, we're planning on starting on time. Once we start, we're going to have basically 2 delivery options. And just so y'all know, we've always had these delivery options, but I think people need to be aware of them. And first is face-to-face. That will be normal school. Kids will report, and we will follow social distancing as best we can. Knowing that will be difficult, it's a little easier with older children. With some of our younger kids, it's going to be really hard to do. Even if we do an A and B day, it's really going to be hard to keep them apart. But we'll do everything that we can to try to. The other option would be an online option that would actually go through. They're under the guidance of school personnel, and they're still our kids. And they'll either have an online person that's from our district or from the Georgia Virtual School if they go that route. And what we're asking, we're going to probably plan to put this out in the 1st of June and ask those parents that would be, and they may change too, but we really need to know which children are interested in doing the online learning. And because of that, we've created an application. And that way we can walk through the process with the parent and child and make sure that that option works for them. They will have to have Wi-Fi to be able to do this. We can provide a device for that. And just so you know, we are working, we just secured a grant through Southern Rivers to equip 5 buses with Wi-Fi. And we did that so that we could go park these buses at different areas of our county, maybe at churches or fire stations or wherever we've got plenty of room, and provide a place for kids to go if they don't have it in their home. But we did secure, I think it was about $4,500 to equip those 5 buses for the upcoming year. So that would be a help if those kids wanted to do that. What could happen is we could start school and be on both of these, and then something happened as far as an outbreak, and that would put everybody online. So we are planning on the ability to host every kid online on these platforms if we need to. So we're doing all that we need to do as a system with the training and purchasing the software that we will be able to offer it. But I think for board members, just know that they're going to have access to Wi-Fi to do the online option unless they can access these different areas that we're going to provide in the buses. So I don't think that we need to move forward with when we did the alternative days, that was more or less, we were toward the end of the year. We really didn't have a lot of new material to cover, but if we do it at the beginning of the year, there will be new material, and there will be a lot of, those of you that have been working with your children know that there's a lot to oversee that at the home. So the biggest part for us is educating parents that want to do online, walking them through that. So that's what we plan to do in June. And that way we know which kids are not going to be in the building, and we can plan more effectively for the kids that are here as far as social distancing. So for elementary, we'll have it for K through 5, face-to-face, and we'll do a software. We think we're going with Odyssey, where we're meeting with them next week to look at that program. We will offer core subjects, and PE will be offered through Zoom or Google platform, so that they have some type of specials that will be offered for the online option. And for pre-K right now, we're still looking into it. I think pre-K children have to come because that is through actually differently. It's not run, it's run through the pre-K group at the state level. So I think right now we're going to be under the expectation that they come and not have an online option for them. If that changes, we will get that information out. And then for middle school, we'll have Edgenuity, which we have now, and some kids are already on. And then there's a Georgia virtual school option. And the reason we put this here is parents can always choose Georgia virtual school, but I'm assuming that these spaces will be very limited because of the number of people that will want to sign up. And so that was there, but we will have the online opportunity through our school system. And either way, they'll still be enrolled with us. And then at the high school, we'll continue with Edgenuity like we do now, and with Georgia Virtual School if a student or a parent chooses to go the online route. We will have 2 days of professional learning this summer, which are those 2 days that we're kind of saving, that we're post-planning to make sure that we have the capacity with our teachers to teach from these 2 software programs, which is Edgenuity and most likely Odyssey Ware for elementary. And we know that there's going to be a lot of questions, so we'll put together. We want to spend a lot of time going through this, but I just feel like I'm very worried about us losing students and students being scared to come back in the fall. And we just want to make sure that we've got options for every child and for every family that wants to stay in our school system. So that's what we've kind of put together. And we'll start putting that out probably at the beginning of June or toward the end of May. And so we can get the idea of what kind of numbers that we're going to have online so that we can schedule and try to, if we have a lot of people online, then obviously we can have less kids in the classroom. So we'll need to know that by the end of June. And if someone signs up for an online option, they must spend in elementary and middle, they must spend 9 weeks in that program because it's taught in 9-week chunks. And at the high school, because of the block schedule, they'll be on there for a semester. So all that is on the application when families may choose to do an online option. Any questions regarding the instructional offerings and what our plans are for August 3rd?
Is this something we're going to be voting on?
I don't necessarily think we need to vote on it. I just wanted y'all to be aware that these were the things that we were going to be able to offer to our children in all this, unrest right now, that we wanted to have a landing place for every family that wanted to still be in our school system.
Well, Plan A is our current scheduled start date. So I mean, we don't. And what you're talking about,
no need to. I want you guys to know, because you may get questions about, what we plan to do if, family doesn't feel comfortable about coming back to school. What happens if we have to go totally online again? Because we'll have a more rigorous software that can actually lead our families and our kids if we did it from school as opposed to the end of the year like we did this past year.
Right.
Is that decide to do the online? Are they still going to be allowed to do sports and other extracurricular activities?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, that's dependent on the Georgia High School Association, I would say.
No, it's approved. Our kids, we have some now that are online, and they can, as long as they're in our program, in our school system, they can participate.
You still
Oh,
are.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question.
I checked on that to make sure everything's good with that participation. The only thing that it would affect would be things like band and chorus, because we do our practicing at school. And so that would be difficult to do without being in person, but the after school stuff, they would be able to participate.
But if we had no regular school, chances are that would be the same results with Georgia High School Association.
Right. If we're not allowed to be in school, the Georgia High School is not going to allow probably anything for practice or games. That's what they've done so far.
Right.
But if there is no issues with it, the governor and everything, he allows everything to go back to normal. Is this option still going to be given?
Yes, we actually have this option now. Not many people use it, but I just want people to know that we do have that option, because my fear is some parents might choose not to even send their kids back, and we would lose children that way.
All righty. No further questions. We can move on. I think Mr. Johnson. Financial report.
Okay.
Can y'all see that on your screen?
Yes.
I've got a hard copy. Thank goodness.
I think we all need a hard copy.
I do
I don't-
too.
I
Right,
don't
Chris,
see
are
it.
you there?
Okay, I see.
Now,
It's little, but can we get it bigger? Thank you. Still little.
All right. One thing I wanted to point out is our local revenue is at the end of April was 99%. We've already received one set of checks in the month of May, and that will put us over 100% of our local budget, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Our expenses are starting to tail off. If you look at month to month, we didn't have a great deal of savings in the month of April, but May and June, I think you'll see a larger reduction in those expenses. Also wanted to point out, if you look at that ending fund equity, it looks like a big number that we have. But I just wanted to remind everybody that will be used to pay for our salaries in July and August. We're not getting very much revenue. So it's not like we have all this cash that we can spend for anything. That money is pretty well committed for salaries and benefits. If you scroll further down, I've included the capital projects and the federal fund statements. Our SPLOST did not decrease as much as I anticipated for the month of April. Talking with a couple of different people, one other finance director, we kind of come to the conclusion that when all of this started, there was a panic buy. And so our sales tax is kind of maintained for the month of April. I'm anticipating for May, June, for those numbers to decrease as far as the revenue. Right now, we're not spending a lot in SPLOST, but we do have a bond payment coming due in August. So that money is being set aside monthly so that we'll have money to pay our debt payments.
Chris,
Yes, sir.
I was going to mention that if Zaxby stays open, that sales tax thing is going to be back up again.
I hope so.
We just got to get them to open 24/7, and it'll make a difference.
That's right. The federal funds are pretty much on a reimbursement basis, so they are what it is. That not a whole lot, we get our revenue a month later than the expenses, so
that will eventually catch up with, revenue will eventually catch up with the expenses. That's about all I have for the financial statements. Are there any questions?
All righty. Well, we appreciate it, and I believe Mr. Daniel, are you going to discuss our knowns and unknowns, or is that?
I am. I'm bringing that document up. All right. So, is that document visible at this point?
Not yet.
It was at first. Do it one more time.
It's up. You need to make it big.
All right. Can everybody see that now?
Yep.
I don't see
Run away,
it.
bro.
Okay. All right. So I titled this knowns and unknowns because basically that's what we're dealing with at this point about budget. I can tell you unequivocally, I don't think our Mr. Johnson, we would love to be bringing hard numbers to you, but us and 186 other school systems are doing the same thing. They just aren't quite sure where we are and where things are going to be. So we're going to continue to watch it. So let me walk through this document and see what questions you might have. So first, state revenue. We've heard through the news and we've heard through the budget office to expect a 14% reduction in state funding. Mr. Johnson and I talked the other day, and our question is 14% of what? If you take 14% of the total allotment sheet, or is it 14% of the QBE earnings that make up that allotment sheet, which includes some other things? We talked in the past and in the January training that we did on budget about the 5 mil share, which is actually a reduction that becomes the equalization grant on the state level. So that's money that is deducted from our earnings. Will that be included in the 14%? That would certainly help us out if they're going to reduce that takeaway by 14%, but that remains to be seen because it's a part of the formula. Will it include categorical grants? Will it include the other state grants that we operate, vocational and preschool programs and right from the start and things like that? So at this point, we don't know. What we do know is the General Assembly is planning on being back in June, and that 14% may hold. That 14% could go up, could go down, depending on the action of the lawmakers. So we're going to have to watch that very closely. What we do know is that the TRS contribution, the teacher retirement contribution, is reducing for the first time in many, many years, and this has been planned for several years. But we will go from a contribution rate of 22.14% of gross salary to 19.6%. So that is almost a 10% reduction in the TRS expenses. And for us, that is just under $500,000. However, we will see a reduction in the funding formula because that factor is built in. So as it reduces our expenditures, we'll also see a reduction there. We do know that every year we receive training and experience money for those teachers that move up a step on the pay scale because of years of experience. And if anyone gets a certificate upgrade, then we also will see T&E money there. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And then, the last thing is we really don't expect to have state revenue hard numbers before the end of June. And it's going to make it very difficult to approve a budget by July 1, which is what we need to do. So more than likely in June, we're going to bring you in a spending resolution. We have done this in the past when we didn't have local tax digest numbers. And so the spending resolution allows us to enter the month of July and continue operations without a approved budget. And so that's a lot of school systems are doing that, and we have that ready to go, and that would be part of our June agenda, unless something miraculous happens and we have a clear picture before then. Moving on to local revenue. As I scroll up, is that scrolling up?
Yes.
Okay. So local revenue, we do expect to see some pretty healthy residential growth in our tax digest. I did talk with the chief tax assessor today, and he says that they are 2 to 3 weeks away from being able to give us hard numbers on the tax digest. So they will call a meeting of all the taxing entities, and we will be able to sit down and receive the numbers all at one time. But he said he felt like that would be by the end of May, and we would have some indication of what kind of growth our tax digest will have. Certainly, that's going to help us out. So we're looking forward to getting that information. What have we done at this point to try to make our budget planning better for next year? Basically, our instructional year is complete. So last week we put a spending freeze in place for the remainder of the budget year. Now there are some essential expenditures. For instance, one of the first calls I got was, well, if we can't buy postage, how are we going to mail report cards to our students? That we consider that essential. So we will look at those situations case by case and approve those as needed. Any funds that remain in any school year budget that are unspent will roll into the fund equity for 2020. And fund equity is a thing for us to consider the start projections. Some other things that are happening, we stopped running buses on March the 12th. That was the last time we ran any bus routes. We are not doing the daytime transfers. We're not doing field trips because of COVID-19. So we will have savings in our fuel budget line, in some of our bus maintenance line, and in our possible overtime in the bus garage, because we only have 3 mechanics. And so when buses are running, we do often, with approval, we'll have a little bit of overtime. Those things will not show up in the budget. We also may realize some savings in the utility lines because our buildings have been at least shut down or partially shut down over the last couple of weeks. We are not going to do summer instruction, so our usual summer school in grades 3 through 8 and the surge camp will not take place. So that's going to leave some money in the budget that would be spent. The hiring of the system literacy coach, which is a locally funded position that y'all approved several weeks ago, has been put on hold indefinitely. So we are not going to hire that position, and that money that has been budgeted for FY21 will not be spent at this point. Those newly created positions that we discussed several weeks ago, we do know that they will earn state funding in the 2021 midterm budget, because we will report those employees on the fall FTE count and CPI counts. And so we should, during the next school year, see funding for those positions, and that will help so we can account for that to come in. We're going to look at any facilities maintenance building projects that we would normally do during the summer. And if they're not already in SPLOST funds, if they can be put in SPLOST funds, that will save dollars in our general fund. And then one thing is we were scheduled to do the phase 2 facelift at Mary Persons High School this summer. So we're getting an early start on that since we don't have students in the building. And rather than squeeze that whole project into a 2-month or about a 6-week period of time, we're able to spread it out over about 9 to 10 weeks. And so that push and any need to get overtime done and to pay folks to try to meet a schedule for school opening should save us some funds there. So as we look ahead to FY21, just some things for us. Obviously, having a state allotment sheet, having a local tax digest will give us a much clearer picture on what revenue is going to look like. We do know that the federal government is estimated a lump of money from the CARES Act that will be available to us for a number of reasons. We will have to write a budget and put that out for approval. one of the things we could do if we feel like it's necessary to have furlough days in next year's calendar, we could offset some furlough days with that CARES money. So we do have options there. I did the calculation just to determine, so if within the 180-day school year next year, so this is the day students are in, teachers are in, all employees are working. If we have a furlough day, it's about $265,000 a day. Salary, benefits, fuel, and utilities. If you have a furlough day of a teacher work day, you basically drop out the school nutrition and bus driving staff, and that would be about $160,000 a day if we had a teacher work day, and then it's going to be even less during the summer. I'm not sure that a summer furlough would really save us a lot of money because you just have some administrators and some clerical staff working for the most part. We have budgeted all personnel next year based on this year's salary scale. So we had early built the beginning of a budget with the governor's recommendation for a salary increase. That changed a couple of times, but at this point, we consider that off the table. And so we've gone back to last year's or current year salary scales, and that's what we're looking at. So, no salary increase for any class of employee. And then, as I've already mentioned, we can consider our fund equity when we reach that point as a starting point towards our FY21 budget. However, I feel like it's the responsible thing to do to say we really have to look at our budget planning for FY21 and look ahead to FY22, because I would be very surprised if the revenue issues on the state level don't carry over into another budget year. So at this point, I'll stop and see if you have questions. I'll walk through these bullet points very quickly, but if you have any questions between Dr. Hickman, Ms. Elder, Mr. Johnson, and I will be glad to take notes, try to answer them, and come back to you with information.
So as right now, you're not looking to do any furlough days, right?
Not now, no. But we wanted just to put it out there. Part of knowing that we're going to have a budget cut from the state, I'm going to share this document. We have a meeting with our principals this Friday. I'm going to share this with them and have them share it with their leadership teams. And again, the plan is now that we don't want to have it, but I want them to know that it is on the table, because we don't know as a system right now what the state budget will be coming to us. It's usually around 20 million, and that's give or take. And we just don't know if it's 14, if it'll be less than 14% or more than that. We'll have a better, once the state can give us some numbers, we'll have a lot better idea of what next year will look like as it relates to any furlough days. But we won't know that until we get that number, Greg. Is that Greg that asked the question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. No further questions. We'll move on to ensuring student stakeholder engagement, which starts off with handbook changes for FY21.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
I'm going to start with Mayorperson High School handbook changes. Please note that these changes will be the same for Monroe County Achievement Center. And I'm just going to summarize it since you guys have already looked at this.
Valerie's pulling them up now.
Okay. No problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The first thing listed is transportation. We had no changes with transportation. Everything remained the same. School nutrition. Ms. Singley currently does not have the state prices or the school lunch program. So as soon as she gets those, she will let us know and we'll update it. I think this is usually typical that they give it to us towards later in the summer. So that's not a big
June or July.
Yes, sir. All right, next.
I'll just explain. There is a calculation and a factor that has to go to the state for approval, and that's just been submitted, but that's what we'll wait on. So.
All right, the first section under Mariposa High School and Monroe County Achievement Center is for the class of 21, 22, and 23. These classes will all have a minimum of 24 units. So all graduating classes before class of 21 are required to have a minimum of 24 units. On the bottom section, that's for class of 2024 and after. And these students entering ninth grade for the first time in the fall of 2020 and after will be required to have a minimum of 26 units to fulfill graduation requirement. And this is just an additional 2 electives that are added. Any questions on this page? All right, next page.
Is that coming from the state that they have to go to 26?
No, that's that would be locally, Eva. You remember we talked earlier in the year about the way that we went to block. It allows our kids a lot more opportunities. So they used to have just 4 years and 7 periods. We had 28. They had 28 opportunities to get 24 credits. Well, when we went to block, we actually get 8. They can get 8 credits a year. Times 4 years is 32. So there's 4 extra units that they have the room for. And so what's been happening is, if you do the math on a block schedule in 3 years, a kid, if they take a full schedule, 8 times 3 is 24. A lot of times our kids are finished by the end of their junior year. We just didn't feel like, one, it didn't provide the rigor that we needed for 4 years of school. And the other thing was, we are very interested in increasing the ability of our kids to have dual enrollment opportunities and through CTAE. And we feel like adding these 2 electives will increase our kids that will go through the end of course pathways. And I've always said that one of the things that we needed to make sure that we provided for our children was the ability to be multifaceted. And because they can take more electives, they can get more foreign language, they can get more CTAE classes, they can do more with dual enrollment before they actually leave here, and provide them a little different way to go before they head out to college or to the world of work. So the elective power is what it does here. And it basically gives kids a lot of option to choose different things that they might be good at. And plus it allows us to hold on to those children, because a lot of times we're having kids that in 3 years are complete. And typically, if you looked at our system and other systems, the ability to finish that soon is probably not rigorous enough. We knew that we were going to have to do this at some point, but we didn't know when, because we never done it. Now that we've got kids that are sitting there as seniors and they really don't have courses to take, maybe one, we feel like adding courses that they could do through CTAE or through foreign language or through different courses they could take, or even at the college level, would allow them a little more opportunity to shine and have them a little bit more ability to be flexible with what they want to do later in life. So that was kind of the reasoning, but they are electives. They're nothing in the core subjects. And these are hopefully ways that we can get our kids to earn more of these pathway completions and hopefully have some more skill sets when they either go to the world of work, whether they go to college, go to technical school, or they go to service. Just gives them a little bit more ability to sharpen their saw, so to speak, before they leave us.
Okay.
They can take these extra credits on their own, can't they? Now.
Hello, what was the question?
They can do these extra units on their own now, can't they?
To a degree, yeah, it depends on what they're allowed to do. Now, there may be some options with online stuff. They can do that. They can do things at school. These are some of the kids that can go down to Macon, that we go to Hutchings, that provide, we do the different programs that are offered down there. It just allows them some extra time to do some things and be able to earn some things and be able to sharpen their saw, so to speak, as to like a kid that goes off to college. It'd be great if they had a pathway completion, in electrical systems. Because if it does not, if they wanted to go to college and that didn't work out for them, if they got a degree that they can back up on as far as going to be an electrician or electrical systems, they could do that. Or if they wanted to go into electrical systems, they could do that, and then they can carry over some of the coursework that they did for dual enrollment the other way. So it's very flexible. It can be done at school, it can be done online, it can be done at college campuses, but it just allows them a little more ability to get a little more something under their belt before we turn them loose.
The main difference is just we're just making it mandatory for 24 versus 20.
Yeah, 26 versus 24, that's right. It's just 2 more credits, and that would start with the class of 2024, which are incoming freshmen. So they would meet with them and let them know that that's what will be expected and how they can get that and how they will schedule the kids to get those extra 2 electives.
Right now, the requirement's what, 20?
24. There are 24 of them. Right now, we just have the ability for 4 electives, and I think this moves it to 6 electives.
That's
So
correct.
it gives them more option to take some things and we do have a lot of offerings, and a lot of times kids don't even get the opportunity to take a CTAE class because they're done. So this would allow them an opportunity to take those classes, take other types of classes that are offered instead of just basically core courses at the high school.
But we're not changing midstream. We're letting everybody that started 24.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Going
All
through.
the kids that are in high
Everybody
school,
starting this year's got
they'll
26.
be under the 24.
All right, Ms. Napier.
Okay. All right. The first section on the screen just gives us a breakdown of students entering 9th grade before and during the fall of 2019 are promoted to the next grade level according to that criteria at the top. The second criteria is for the students who are entering 9th grade in the fall of 2020 and after and promoted to the next grade level, giving them a total number of 26 units for graduation requirements.
And we didn't adjust, Pat, I was just going to add, there was no increase to make you a 9th, when you went 9th to 10th, to be considered a 10th grader. They left that the same, which I liked. That was a good thing.
Yes. Okay. On the third section, we moved to the High School Achievement Center dress code. They added one statement at the bottom that's highlighted that states that pants with holes must be worn with leggings or shorts underneath the holes. Just a clarification for the students and the parents. They're still following this rule now. And then in the last section, under the not permitted section, that statement is removed where it says clothing with holes and or cut off hems, whether by design or wear, that expose skin or undergarment. Okay. The next section, it just goes over the requirement graduations for the top part for the class of 2021, 2022, and 2023. That is with the 24 total units that are the minimum for graduation. And that would be for all the graduating classes prior to the class of 2021 for the 24 units. At the bottom section, we're referring to the same thing, but for the class of 2024 and after. This will be for students entering 9th grade for the first time in the fall of 2020 and after, will be required to earn a minimum of 26 units to fulfill graduation requirements. This is the additional 2 electives for a total of 26.
Okay.
All right, the top of the page, we talk about graduation promotion and retention. Students entering 9th grade before and during the fall of 2019 are promoted to the next grade level based on that following criteria: the number of Carnegie units obtained. The next section is the same information for the students entering 9th grade in the fall of 2020 and after are promoted to the next grade level based on the following criteria: those number of units. Again, from 24 to 26 just kind of breaks it down for each grade level. And then at the bottom, there's a clarification that was added, highlighted in yellow. Pants with holes must be worn with leggings or shorts underneath the holes. Again, nothing new, just made it clear for the students and the parents. The next page that is, yes. Okay. The next page that is listed is for the middle school. This is a lot of yellow, but mainly what they did was they just kind of cleaned up the language. Everything pretty much remains the same. Towards the middle where it says academic cheating, cheating was replaced with academic dishonesty. And then towards number 4, where we had no pass, no play, the language was changed to participation in sports. And then there's a clarification at the end where they added that students will have the opportunity to participate in certain sports. Athletes must pass 5 out of the 6 courses the semester to play, must not turn 15 before April the 1st of the prior school year, and have a current physical on file. Physicals are valid for 1 year from the date of the physical, and a copy must be submitted to the middle school athletic director prior to trials. Again, just more clarification to help with students who qualify for sports. On number 5, it clarifies, they added that no underpants may be exposed, just a clarification. They also added that athletic shorts are not permitted. On page 16, it clarifies that student debts will be cleared before students will be able to participate in exam exemptions. And I think this is something that's already listed on the exam exemption form. And then the last highlight is the code of conduct. It just includes that code of conduct will be followed in transportation and gives a website with the transportation information. Okay. And the last page, this is all of the elementary schools. Since their handbook is all the same, they are just changing from, I think, the first 2 weeks of school where parents can walk the students in to the first week of school. And after the first 5 days, staff will be available to walk the kids in just so they can get acclimated to the procedures and so they can stay on time for instructional, to begin the instructional day. And that is all handbook changes. Does anybody have any questions?
That's good.
All righty.
We do have to vote on these.
Okay, when you're going to cover the grab and go meals, or
We're gonna need to vote on the handbook. Those have to be board approved. Because just so everybody knows that when we make changes to handbooks, they are considered like board policy. And the things that we have in policy should reinforce what's in a handbook and vice versa. So because that is considered that, we do have to approve handbook changes. They have to be board approved before they can be put in a handbook because it's board policy.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the proposed changes to the handbooks of all schools.
all right, a motion by Dr. Doster that we accept the changes as presented. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay, Ms. Pettigrew, second. Any discussion? Being none, everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I'm
Aye.
assuming that was okay, I can see a few mouths moving there, but anyone opposed?
No.
You're opposed to the handbook changes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the motion passed with a 6-1 vote. Okay. Grab and go meal.
All right, I think I'm going to hop in and give you a report on what's happened. So this week we are in our 8th week of meal distribution, 2 days a week. And at this point, as of yesterday afternoon, we have distributed meals to 7,455 students, and just under 37,500 meals have been handed out. So tomorrow, There will be distribution with every student coming through getting 6 meals. So basically 2 days of breakfast and lunch, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Our last distribution will be next Monday, and we're actually going to do 5 days on Monday. So that will wrap up our distribution of the grab and go meals that have been done with support from the State Department of Education. Let me go ahead and talk about where we go from here. We've had a good bit of discussion. One of the things that has to be in place to continue this into the summer is that we would need to be what's called a seamless summer system. We have not been that in the past. We have been a summer school system. So we have conducted summer school and we have fed the students who come to our building for summer school. And so we are not set up for seamless summer. So it would be difficult for us to move into the summer continuing to distribute meals. Basically, we would have to pay for it 100% locally. There would be no state support without being seamless summer. But what we do have in place is a partnership between Backpack Buddies, the very active volunteer group that Ms. Bird operates, and the Boys and Girls Club to continue doing meals and food distribution through the summer. And so Ms. Bird is very excited about that. They've continued to do some work, but not nearly what they would do because of our meal distribution. And so they actually have received a number of donations, financial donations and product donations. And so they feel like they're in good shape to continue this for the summertime. And then, we'll look from here. Do want to say, from my standpoint, the little involvement I've had in the distribution of the meals has been one of the most satisfying and enjoyable things. The children, when they come through, are just happy and excited. On 2 different days, our staff that has been doing this have dressed up. And so one day they were dressed up as peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So they had the bread costume and they just had a good time. And then last week, one day they dressed up as popcorn bags. And the reaction from the students when they come through, and the appreciation of the parents when they come through. I'm going to quote our board chair. He was out there one day and he told me that watching Miss Singley hand the meals out, he said, she acts like every child who comes through is the only child that day. And she just is so good at making that connection and working with them. The last thing I want to do is just let you know, I gave you the numbers. Almost 7,500 kids have come through. And this has been done basically with 4 school nutrition employees. Our manager, Ms. Thingley, 1 site manager from Hubbard Elementary School, and then 2 food assistants. Now, they have had support from one of our family engagement specialists and one of our SROs. So in reality, you've got 6 sets of hands doing all of this work. What it's done is given us a consistency in that the meals have been consistent. So if you have different people preparing them, sometimes they might look a little different. So the meals have been consistent. They've been controlled in terms of safety and product safety. And I think we're one of the few school systems that are still doing at the end what we started doing. A lot of school systems started really big and they had to back off because they couldn't support it with labor. And so I'm very proud that what we started, we're going to finish in the exact same way. And we're just real pleased with how this has gone. At some point in the future, at our earliest opportunity, we want to bring those 6 individuals that have been out there every one of these days, 16 days. And by the time we hit next week, it'll be almost 20 days. We want to bring them before the board and honor them, recognize them, and let you say thank you to them. So that plan is in the works. Any questions at this point?
That's appropriate. Now,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
most appropriate to recognize those individuals.
They, it's real easy to see the distribution, but what most folks don't see is the backside of preparing those, 6,000 to 8,000 bags every week. And There's an assembly line in the kitchen, and it wears them out. I mean, they know they've worked at the end of the week. So,
Jack,
Rick, anything to add? Yes, ma'am.
you did the picture of the freezer or the cooler before and after the
Yes,
meal
ma'am.
distribution. That was very interesting. I wish you'd also take a picture of that assembly line, either tomorrow or next Monday, just so we would have that picture in our school records too.
We certainly will. I think there was one on social media at one point of the folks in the back doing that, but I'll make sure when I go out tomorrow that we get a picture. So
Are all these
thank
kids
you.
from our school?
As long as they're, if they from 3 to 17, and they present, that money that was given to us is to give food to children 3 to age 17.
Even if they come from other counties just to get the food?
Well,
I can't say that.
I've seen out there, and our kids now, I guess they could do that. But most of the counties in Georgia got the same money we got from the state to provide it. So I think they probably have something where they are, but we never wrote down a county. We just had to know that they were between those ages and they got the meal.
Over the 8 weeks, we've come to recognize the students when they come through. The school nutrition employees and Ms. Pye, the family engagement specialist and the SRO know most of these students when they come through. They've seen them in the buildings, and so I would have to say I could easily say 98, 99% are our kids, and I would almost guess 100% of them are.
I'd like to add that they really seem to enjoy what they're doing. It's a challenge. It's not easy work, but they're all smiling and serving the children.
Yes, I agree.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Ms. Elder, is this you?
Yes, sir.
During high quality special board member training?
Yeah, just real quick. Our board member book study assignments, they were due to me yesterday. So if you have not submitted your reflection questions, make sure you get those submitted to me. You can either drop them off at the board office, or you can email them to me or mail them if you need to. So we appreciate you following through with that so that we can achieve exemplary board from Georgia School Board Association at the end of the summer.
Let's never read.
And also, during the June board meeting, we would like to hear from each of you. So you would be asked to briefly share a few takeaways from reading the book. So that will be at our next board meeting. Just briefly share some things that you took away from reading. We also wanted to make sure that we mentioned that tonight we would have recognized our system and RISA winners for Young Georgia Authors Writing Competition and our system spelling bee winners. But because of the COVID safety restrictions, of course, we could not recognize them in person. So we are mailing certificates to each of those students. Actually, they were put in the mail today, so they should be receiving them in the next few days. So we just wanted to make sure that they were not forgotten for their accomplishments this year. For our Young Georgia authors, just so that you'll know, we had, of course, 13 students who were system winners and they went on to the regional competition. 9 out of our 13 students were actually regional winners for Middle Georgia RISA. So that's the largest number of regional winners that we've had. We had 1 first place winner. We had 4 second place regional winners, and we had 4 third place winners. So we are really proud of our students. And then, of course, we recognize Javier Locus and William Little with our spelling bee competition. And that's it for me.
Okay. All right. No questions from Ms. Elder. Being none, let's see if we can get a motion to enter executive session. And before we get there, I think we're going to, Dr. Mercer, can you explain how we're going to any changes that are going to go on right now, just the public will be cut off, or
Yep, and Ms. Napier and Mr. Johnson, you can be excused.
All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
thank y'all.
Business here lately, and so to have something, we actually bought this product to do our special ed meetings on. There was some function it had that I think it might have had something to do with it spoke, it had translations or something. I can't remember, but we thought that we would use this instead of Zoom. But I actually like Zoom better because that's what we use in all of our regular meetings at school meetings.
All right, we ready to go? Mr.
Well,
Valerie, is good?
Let me see. I'll see it. You see that? I can see her up here when she pops back in. I don't. All right,
She's
okay.
there.
Let's see if
You there, Valerie?
I can't hear. Can you
You muted it for our executive session. Text her and tell her to unmute it, Mike.
There she is. We good.
Okay. All right. Well, we're waiting. All right. The next thing is the recommendation personnel.
We approve the personnel actions as presented on the blue sheet.
Okay, Dr. Gofter, a motion that we accept the recommendations for the personnel actions. Here a second.
I thought somebody said I'll second, but I thought somebody else had already said it.
It must have been yeah, seconded by Mr. Pettigrew. It doesn't matter. All right. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Being none, passes unanimously. Next thing we have is reminders. Dr. Hicks.
We do want to just several things that are going on. I think Jackson has this down, but just wanted to mention to you all, you might have seen that on May 22nd, we're going to host a reverse parade for the seniors. And we've been working with the city and the county and the health department to make sure that we're following all guidelines. But generally speaking, we're going to have all the seniors line up all the way from the high school campus all the way through our campus. And they will actually stand 12 feet apart, and the parents and community will drive through and wave at them and honk the horn and wish them well on that date that they would normally have graduated. And so we do that. That'll be from 6 to 7 on the 22nd. And we're excited about it. We've got a lot of help. We're going to have a lot of volunteers to try to help us out, to try to be as sane as we can with that. But we're glad to be able to try to do it. We had a big time with them picking up caps and gowns the other day. It was really sad to not be able to, be up close with them, but they came by in their cars and picked that up. And this will be a little bit another way that we can show our appreciation in such a difficult time that we won't be on the field on the 22nd. Now, still remember, we are planning on doing a regular graduation on the field on July 31st. So this is just an additional thing we're doing.
Okay. Anything else?
motion
I think our
to
next board meeting is scheduled June the 9th. And as to whether we're face to face or not, I guess that's yet to be determined. And we'll just check and see how it's going about 2 days. All righty. Nothing else?
A motion to adjourn?
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for doing this. It was a lot better this time, I think.
Right. Motion by Bilderback that we adjourn. And Mr. Evans, are you with us? Well, we might have to break tradition here and find somebody else to second our adjournment.
Showing is there. He's showing on the screen. I'm on the people.
Mr. Evans. All righty. Well, we got a motion. Can I get a second? Everybody afraid to do it?
Greg did. Greg seconded it.
Okay.
Greg, I think, did it.
Seconded by Greg. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Don't hear anyone. So we're
Greg don't oppose.
okay. All righty. Thank y'all.
See you later.
I'm